Hello and welcome to Baseball by Dummies. We are Baseball by Dummies. My name is Nick Sievers and I am joined by TJ Wilson. Hello, TJ.
Hello, Nick Sievers.
And Nick Sherrill. Hello, Nick.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. So today we are going to do something fun. And by today I mean right now, because what else are we going to do? It is January and there's nothing to talk about baseball other than the fact that about 30 seconds ago I was told that Manny Ramirez is going to be playing baseball in Japan, which is just awesome.
Can you do steroids in Japan?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, then yeah, that is awesome.
He's 44. I think that's the coolest thing ever. I want to be 44 and play baseball. I want to be 33 and play baseball. So there's that too.
I'm not even
Domo
44 yet, but
arigato.
I'm getting close.
So we are going to do a draft of our favorite things about baseball. This is a direct ripoff of Effectively Wild, but they do funny things. We're going to do serious things because they are a funny show and we are a serious show, as you can tell by us. So the way we're going to decide the draft is I'm going to draft second because that's what I've decided, and you guys can't argue with that. And I'm going to flip a coin to see who drafts first and who drafts third, and we're going to do a snake draft. So I'm going to flip the coin. It is a 1977 U.S. quarter. Ready? Hold on, let me turn the microphone so we can hear it. Legitimate draft.
Okay, but like, who's going to
Flip.
call it? Like, we need to figure that out too. Can I call it because I'm older?
Sure. Deal. You called it. What do you
Heads,
want?
tails. I want tails.
Can't even decide. Call us tails.
I call it tails.
Ooh, it even got a little wiggle, and it's tails.
See, I told you I wanted tails. I want number one.
Yes, you got. You don't
No,
have
I
a
don't.
choice.
I
You
want
have
number
number
three.
one. Nope,
Oh,
you don't
I
have a
got number
choice.
one.
You're number one.
I obviously cannot make a decision right now.
Yes. So Nick, you're going to be 3 and 4. So be prepared. So what we're going to do is we're going to say what we like about baseball. They're going to be random. They're going to be fun, or they're going to be very obvious and not as much enjoyable. But all mine are funny and silly. So
Mine's not. Mine's pretty serious.
good. That's what I like to hear. Tell me number one.
The father and son aspect of it. Now, this is
Ooh.
because I do have a 6-year-old son that he got to go to his first baseball game this year, and that is the cool thing. The only sport my dad played with me or watched anything with me when I was a kid was Atlanta Braves baseball. So my favorite thing about baseball is that you can incorporate your kids into it, and they're going to love it as much as you do at some point in their life.
Nick, we go to spring training with your dad, so that has to be at least somewhat right.
Oh, that was absolutely on my list.
Yes, right.
And if it would have
His
landed
dad,
heads,
we
it would have
all-
been my
which we
pick.
all call Pop, by the way. So it's his dad, but it's all of our pops.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely one of those ones that now, looking back, it's like I remember going to a Braves Blue Jays game when I was 9 years old. My dad and my friend Steven's dad both decided that they wanted to go to an A's game, so we drove to Oakland, like an hour drive, and just randomly went to I'm pretty sure it was a spring training game because we sat right behind the dugout. We talked to Carney Lansford. My life was complete. I mean, Carney
Oh
Lansford.
my gosh,
what more
Carney
can you need?
Lansford. That dude had a porn stash.
All right, Nick, you got anything else to add to this before I jump to the more important number 2 pick, which is mine?
No, you go for it.
Okay, my favorite thing, and this is not a joke, it's not trying to be silly, my absolute favorite thing about baseball is when someone steals third base. I don't know why it's third base, but I remember Ricky Henderson, when he broke the record for most stolen bases, stole third, and it was the coolest thing because, one, I don't think I've ever stolen third base, shockingly. Somehow my fat ass was unable to do that, and it's always one of my favorite things, especially when there's a left-handed hitter and the right-handed catcher, and he steals third and he still takes it. It's just one of those ones, just like, that is too awesome.
I am the greatest of all time. That's an interesting one. I wonder why that is. Is it because it's rare? Is it the aesthetics of it? Is it because isn't it third base? Isn't that when he broke the record was stealing third?
Yeah, that was the aesthetics of it is definitely it. I know, now, one of the things I like about it is that it is so rare, but just he's going 90 feet and the catcher's throwing it 90 feet, and it's a legitimate, trying to do it. I mean, people get thrown out stealing second, and it's a much longer throw. So when you steal third, it's like, you're a legit stolen base guy, and I just love that.
That's interesting. That is a very interesting pick. That's a really thought-provoking choice.
I like it.
Huh. I would have never thought about just that singular play.
I now wish I didn't use it as my number one pick because both of you guys are in shock silence.
Yeah, Nick hasn't even talked yet. I mean, he's over there thinking about what the heck just happened.
I don't even know what a stolen base is.
Fair. That's a fair assessment.
But maybe
All
that's
right,
why
Nick.
it's so magical. It's because it's three guys that aren't necessarily fast runners. So
Hey, you get the fat
the
going
sheer
in the direction.
athleticism of it.
You get my fat going in the right direction long enough. You don't know that I can't be fast.
You're quick to injury, that's for sure.
Hey, it's fast as something, all right?
My junior year playing baseball in high school, I was used as a pinch runner. I had 6 appearances, all as pinch runners, and 1 stolen base of home. I had 4 stolen bases total and 1 steal of home. So
Was it a pass
I used-
ball, or did you just straight go Jackie Robinson on him?
Oh no, it was definitely a pass ball. Let's not kid ourselves. I was never that good.
By the way, there's no record of that. So the next time that question is asked, he's like, "Yeah, I just straight took it on the guy. He was even a right-handed pitcher." That's what you say next time.
Yeah, nobody will ever believe that. So Nick, your pick. What do you like?
All right, I'm going to go with one that is definitely going to be on your guys' list, and you guys are going to be like, damn you for picking it first, which is probably what Seaver should have done instead of picking that sleeper pick right up front. That's like drafting Jared Goff first round. And what I'm going to go with is the sheer senses of the game. And what I mean mostly by it is just the smells of the game. When you go to a baseball game, you smell the grass, you smell the dirt, you smell the beer, you step on the peanut shells that are on, the steps on your way down to the seats. Just that whole sensual experience of being.
Could you also
in
see
that
the
moment.
atmosphere? Would that be the same?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, the atmosphere of just the people that are around, the energy
You
that's
ready?
happening.
You ready for a beer?
You ready for a baseball game. And so just bring it, and the sights of the game, just seeing the ball just fly through the air is just such a magical thing that's what I just draws me to the game so heavily.
You know the cool thing? I remember my first baseball game. It was in Wrigley Field, that's kind of a cool experience. I was 15, and I remember every time a ball got hit in the air, I was absolutely 100% and percent too, apparently, positive that it was going out. And that was one of the coolest things. Of course, I think they hit like 2. Gary Gaetti hit a 10th inning home run that game to win the game. But that was a really cool thing. Like when the ball got in the air, you're like, dude, that's going out. Because it was the first game, you're not used to seeing that kind of stuff. And it made it really, really cool and really exciting every time the ball got lifted.
It's a magical thing.
One of my first experiences was the atrocity that is Oakland Coliseum. But even that, being, I don't know, like I said, 10 years old or thereabouts, it was still one of those things, like you see the stadium and it's right off the freeway, and it was that, and then there's what is now Oracle, where the Warriors play, and it's like you have these huge 2 buildings next to one another, and you walk out, and because I'm almost positive it was like the last spring training game, or it was super early in the season, and we were super close, and walking out into that bottom row and seeing the field and like being 10 and playing on 100-foot, like 60-foot bases and 200-foot fences that are chain link fences, then you see this massive green. It really was one of the coolest experiences I can remember.
And the dirt seems to be browner. Like the infield seems to be like more brown than any dirt you've ever seen, and the outfield grass is more green than you've ever seen. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good pick.
It was also my pick, that I should have used it first, but I was on my second bourbon, so I kind of forgot that was the one that I liked the most. But details.
Details. He picked it. It's there.
It works. I get to still use my same analogy I was going to use. Analogy. See, I'm clearly on my second bourbon. So Nick, you good? Sorry, I thought you were about to say something.
I'm ready. I'm ready for pick
All
number
right.
4. I'm ready to take another one from you guys. I'm definitely winning this. I would say that I'm winning this draft, but you're on your second bourbon, and I am sans alcohol. So
Yeah, I'm
I'm
drinking
saying,
water
wait,
right
you're
now.
winning. Yeah.
5:30 is going to come really early.
Oh, good luck for that. So my next pick is actually going to be in the same vein of Seavers talking about the atrocity of Oakland Coliseum, and it's going to be the ballparks. The way, baseball is the only game where you play on a different field anywhere you go.
Sure.
The dimensions of the fences, the heights. There's just so much novelty to each stadium.
Yeah, stupid Houston has a freaking hill in center field.
Exactly. And, and the polo grounds from back in the day, like just the sheer, the magic that you can make by the creativity of the field that you decide to play in and how that builds the strategy around the team that you have, playing in, out at Coors Field, your strategy for how you even get a team together is different than when you go to Dodger Stadium or whenever you're playing in Cincinnati, just anywhere you go, the stadium is just such a factor of the game, and nowhere else but baseball do you get that.
That's fair. That's a very good answer. I agree.
So the one counter that I have to it, it's not a counter because it was actually on my list as well, and like I said, second bourbon. So I'm going to take stealing third base because that's logical. Is that you still get 60 feet 6 inches from pitchers to home, and you still get 90 feet between bases, which is one of the best parts about it. Is that you can now have any distance you want down right and left field and down center and up center field, and you get two specific things that are always the same, and everything else is always different, which is one of those really, really fun.
That's an interesting way of putting it, but okay. Yes, there's some things that are the same, some things are different, and let's move on.
But that's like in football.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
I know. But like in football, you have 100 yards, you have 53 yards across, and it's always the same everywhere you go. Now, Lambeau Field looks different, but the field is the same. There's nothing different.
Sure, the only thing different in those is where you play. Do you play on artificial turf or do you play on grass?
Yeah. Whereas with baseball, you get it's 90 feet.
Yeah, I agree. I'm agreeing with you. I was just giving you crap too.
Yeah. Well, see,
it sounded like you needed a little bit, Mister. I stole third base once.
I never did.
I was giving you credit there, and you didn't take that either.
Nope, refuse it. I know where I stand. I've got 6 appearances, for God's sakes. I know where I'm going here. All right, well, then I'm going to continue on my horrible picking here because I'm going to lose this
I want you to
draft.
pick one of mine because I have 3 of them that I want to pick.
Well, at the end, we'll kind of do them all, and I'm going to be really bad at this. And I actually thought about this, 3 days ago. This was my list, and I thought it was a great list. And now, listening to you two, it's like, oh, maybe this list isn't so good. But I love on-base percentage. That's one of my favorite stats.
So, but okay, you may have taken one of mine. It's your favorite stat, and this one is actually kind of I don't know, this is kind of a bridge between normal stats and sabermetric stats as well. So that's an interesting pick. It's not like, OPS is like a pretty sabermetric, and batting average is a normal. So you kind of picked one that was kind of in the middle of both.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I like it so much is that only in baseball do you have a stat that tells you not everything, but about 90% of what you need to know about a player. In basketball, you know their field goal percentage, certain things. In football, yards per carry, all that stuff. But in baseball, how often do they come up and how often do they get on base. And you don't know what they do when they get on base, but they get on base, which just makes it such an interesting, important stat that you can just look at that and you get, I don't know, I don't think 90% is correct, but it's pretty close to that in my mind.
Yeah, I like it. No, and I really, really like the fact that it's like the one stat that's in between the two different styles of thinking. So I think you did well there.
Yeah.
You have anything to say about that, Sherelle?
I love it. No, I love the OBP. I love that it's the marriage of the old school and the new school. I like that you picked OBP because it is that, the old school has so much history in the batting average and sheer numbers of home runs and stolen bases. But then there's this new layer of sabermetrics that are out there. And the one that you chose to talk about was the on-base percentage, which is kind of that middle ground. So it's like, it's such a beautiful answer, like respecting the old and then also admiring the new. And that's a great pick. I wish I would have picked it.
Yeah, that's really good.
The one thing that I was thinking of was that because you get the different stadiums, you get all the different stuff, that some places, such as Coors Field, get more home runs, but you also probably get more on base there as well. I'm sure that's a thing. But you can look back go across time and be like, yeah, he had an OBP of 375. Like, oh, that guy was really good. And it's kind of indisputable is that if you have a 375 OBP, pretty good baseball player.
Yes, I agree. I like it. And like that was a very good, like if you were going to pick a statistic I probably wouldn't have picked that one and I would have been wrong.
Wow, look at me.
I know. And you were just about like crapping on yourself just a second ago.
And totally redeem yourself.
Yeah, it was cold like that the other day here too, and I almost had to ride a scooter with somebody just to warm up.
All right, TJ,
Okay,
you're
my
up.
next two picks. This is really hard for me because I have a few that I really, really like, and I'm gonna actually save one for the very end. So I think Nick may pick it. So I'm gonna go with the unpredictability of baseball. We just watched the football season. It was, it's over now. The Browns won a game because they were the worst team in the league. Very rarely do they actually have a chance to win a game because the superiority of other teams just beating the crap out of them. In baseball, yeah, a team may only win 56 games if they suck that bad, Phillies. But any given night, it doesn't matter how good the other team is, you still have a chance to win. And that's the great thing about baseball is that as much as numbers want to put into the game, it's still so unpredictable. You have some guy, what was his name? Phil Umber throws a freaking perfect game. What? I mean, and yet, Nolan Ryan, he never threw a perfect game. And, I love the unpredictability of baseball. Well, yes, a lot of it is predictable and maybe not predictable, but you can kind of find patterns. When you go out there every day, there's still that element of unpredictability.
Absolutely. That is definitely one of the best things about baseball is that you know that Mike Trout is going to be great next year, barring any injury, but you don't know if the game that you go see him on a Wednesday in Oakland, he's going to be good, or if it's going to be, just a 0 for 4 night with 3 strikeouts.
Right.
But over the course of the season, he's going to be good. But on that random day in July, now I'm really getting specific. I don't think they play in July, but regardless,
They definitely play in July.
I don't think they play in Oakland. In
Oh,
July,
gotcha.
but regardless, it's one of those great things of you can play. You play your DraftKings, you play your all those sort of fantasy games. And it's over the season you know who's going to be good, but over the day to day, it really is really a crap.
Yeah, and I like unpredictable. And like I said, in the other sports, there's somebody always like basketball. You have the superior. You have somebody that's superior, and that team is going to win for the most part. However, in baseball, the team's probably going to win, but there's way more of a likely chance that the team on the bottom is going to come up and do something great than there is in the other sports. It seems like.
It's how you get the Mariners to win 114 games then lose in the ALCS.
Yeah.
It's like they were a wonderful team. They were really, really, really good during the regular season. And then they lost in a 5-game series or 7-game series or whatever it was.
I think back then it was still 7 games. I don't think there was any 5s, but I could be wrong. It's a long time ago.
0-1. I think it was the ALCS, so it was probably 7. But that is just one of those great things.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the beautiful thing is the about the beauty of it's a game of probability, right? It's a game of one player has a greater probability of success than another player does, but there's that huge margin of variation of they might just have themselves a great day, right? I mean, looking at the way that the Dodgers clinched the NL West last season was off of a extra innings home run by Charlie Culberson, which is a guy that, wasn't even starting on their squad at the beginning of the season, was playing AAA and was moved up, due to injuries and everything and ended up being a hero. The final home game in LA, the final game that Vin Scully, broadcasted at was, ended by this, not somebody that you would expect to be the hero of the situation. And that brings out the magic and the beauty is just, you don't know how luck is going to turn out for anybody.
Yes, that is, and I love that. I love that you just don't know what's going to happen day to day.
It's so interesting too that they even build the postseason to try to get rid of that variation, right? That's why they have multi-game series. They try to say, okay, anyone can have a bad day, but that's why let's do a 7-game series. And even still, in those 7 games, baseball is such a game of momentum and such a game of probability that you can even have a bad 4 or 5 games and be thought of as the better team, but get outplayed, or just get outlucked in those 4 games.
Well, TJ and I were talking at one point about how we think that baseball could go down from 162 games to 133 or whatever number they decide on, and one of the reasons is that you can contract some teams, and that makes sense and that works. But one of the beauties about baseball is that if you didn't do that and you have random games in the middle of July, it makes you want to go and see a game on a Tuesday night between the Brewers and the Reds. It's like, yeah, this game probably won't mean anything, but there's a chance that somebody's going to throw a perfect game, or there's a chance that someone's going to hit 4 home runs, or there's going to be a chance of this happening that isn't likely to happen, but because it's baseball, it can happen.
Yeah.
And that's always fun.
Because baseball, pretty much. Sums it up.
Exactly. Yep. So what's your third?
All right. Well, I have 2 different ones here. I have to decide between the 2. I'm gonna leave one for Nick, but I'm gonna go with baseball is the easiest sport to nerd out with. It gives you so many numbers now with sabermetrics that you can just flat out nerd out, and you can take as much or as little as you want and do whatever you want with those numbers, and that is really cool. For me, it is. I like doing it. And, of course, with the fantasy aspect, it brings something else with all the numbers. But just even looking at the numbers, like, we even done that a couple of times just in our text, like, dude, look at this this hard hit percentage, or look at his, WRC plus, or his WOBA, or, anything. Like, you can nerd out to any type of level with baseball. And other sports you can, but baseball is just like, if you want it, it's there. In other sports, you got to go digging. In baseball, it's right there on the surface, and I love that about baseball.
I would just say go look at Barry Bonds' baseball reference page, and you will nerd out.
For sure. You can do that whether you want like traditional statistics or sabermetrics.
But I agree 100% with that, is that you can, I don't know how to use the new, like the StatCast stuff. I don't understand. I understand that a ball is hit hard, but I don't know how hard Babe Ruth hit a ball. I don't know how hard Barry Bonds hit a ball, but I know that Giancarlo Stanton hits the ball really, really hard. And when you hit it at a certain angle really hard, amazingly, it goes really far. And that's just one of those wonderful, great things about it. But all of the stats that you can combine and people smarter than I can use to make you understand the game a whole lot better.
Yeah, I like it. And I'm definitely a guy that's going to nerd out over it.
You can geek till your heart's content. That's the thing. You can go as shallow or as deep as you want in the numbers, and the deeper you go, the deeper the appreciation you have for the game. But the beauty of it is it's not necessary for 95% of people that watch and love baseball. It's not really a necessary thing to dive into it. But it's fun and it's amazing, and it's you get such a deep appreciation for the game and for the players that play it. And of course, those other 5% are, the business people behind the game of baseball that are able to use all those numbers to actually generate contract value and to also, manage teams and try to work their probability as best as possible. But to the casual viewer such as ourselves, it's just a beautiful thing to appreciate the game. Absolutely.
That's one of the things that I love, is that I can now act like we planned this and segued it into mine, which is baseball on the radio, which means I don't know what's actually going on. I'm listening to some guy, probably older than my dad, probably played the game, or at the very least has watched more baseball than I will ever watch in my entire life, explain to me what happened. And then my favorite thing to do, and it's really, really, really nerdy, is I like to listen to the baseball game on my iPhone and through the app, and then watch the game on my MLB TV and see where he says it's a ball that's high, and then realize that there's actually not a ball because it was high. It was a ball because it was 7 inches inside and not really all that high at all. And then realize that there were people in the 30s who were watching games and all they ever had was listening to the radio. And some guy who had no idea what was going on because he's super far away. And everybody just took it as gospel. And I still take it as gospel because I listen to baseball way more than I watch baseball. Because I live on the West Coast, I get to listen to the streams of baseball radio on the East Coast all the time. And by the time 7 o'clock rolls around, when the West Coast game starts, my children are home and running around and watching silly shows on TV, though I'm talking them into watching baseball shortly. It's one of the beautiful things is like, yeah, I know what's going on. I understand how this is working, and baseball on the radio is better than any other sport on the radio, hands down.
Yeah, I think a reason for that, though, is baseball has a little bit of downtime. You have probably more downtime. Well, I couldn't say that because football's got a lot of downtime, too. But you have a lot of downtime where, I mean, you get cool stories, and that's what made Vince Scully so awesome, was that during his downtime, you got to listen to really cool stories because, he's been in it for so long. Like, he has a story for every situation. And that's where you really get to see your broadcaster's personality really kind of flow out, and you get to kind of you feel like you get to know them better whenever they're on radio than they do on TV. And, you say that you listen to the radio while watching the game. Like, that's not uncommon. I mean, it's probably not the overwhelming preference, but it is definitely not uncommon.
Yeah, and I mean, the one thing that I do is, like, come May, come June, I will be outside and I'll, have to mow the lawn. I'll have to do something outside on a Saturday at 1 o'clock West Coast time. And there's, 15 baseball games that day. So it's just a matter of like, oh, look, I'm going to listen to a Mariners-Angels game and just listen to the Mariners broadcast game. Or I'm going to listen to a Yankees-Red Sox game or whatever the case may be. And then figure out which of the radio broadcasters I like, which ones are super annoying. And we can get into this much later in this podcast because I have a whole list of them that do not go with the rest of what everybody else thinks, because apparently people love the Mets guys. I don't understand it, and that's just one of those ones that I'm going to have to. But being a Braves fan, I like listening to the Braves broadcasters, and I know they aren't the most highly rated, but because you listen to them, like you go 6 weeks of listening to two guys talking on the radio, and all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, no, I understand now. Now I understand why I like these guys, or why they have jobs, or why they do these things, and why three guys like us can have podcasts. They don't need to be approved by anybody, as it turns out.
But there's a reason for that, not non-approval.
I think it's one of those sports that video didn't kill the radio star, right? It's one of those.
I will start singing.
Please don't. Like with football, it doesn't have that same magic. Basketball doesn't have that same magic. To me, I mean, it's still. Listening to a game through radio still keeps the magic and the charm of the game.
I'm going to jump in real quick and tell you that on New Year's Eve there was the college football playoff, and we were leaving to go out for the night, and we go out to, it's like an hour drive to where we go for our New Year's celebration. And I'm a college football fan. I had great interest in an Ohio State Clemson game. I thought it would be wonderful.
It was a wonderful
obviously
game.
Very wrong. And listening to it on the radio left so much to be desired, because I heard, a pass to this guy for 11 yards. Okay. What did this guy do? Why did he do it this way? Why didn't he go this way? I don't understand. When we watch it on the TV, you see, what the right tackle is doing, which is an interesting idea of why something happened. With baseball, you have a pitch, the pitch went here, and the batter did this with it because the pitch was here. Whereas in football, there's 22 individuals running 22 different ways, and they all try and, make something happen out of it. Now, that's just not to say that I don't like football in person, but on the radio, it definitely is, baseball is the way to go.
I agree. Well played. Well said.
All right. Nick, you got 2 picks in a row, and then we're going to give TJ his say on what he wants to do here.
He's got 1 pick, and then we can both kind of just go.
Yeah, math. Come on.
True.
I'm not that.
Nobody said there had to be math
hardcore on it.
So by your second bourbon, you really meant fourth.
Right.
I may have had 6 tastes, and tastes for me are not really a bourbon. They're just kind of they're a thing. They don't actually exist. They're just in the ether.
All right. Well, I'm going to wrap up this draft with one that I thought was going to be picked by some point, but it kind of wasn't. For me, baseball is a game of. It's the only game where there is so much individual challenge and individual competition. It's a one-on-one battle played around other people.
Okay,
yet it's still
I
a
actually
team
have that
sport.
written down where it says it's an individual and team game. Yeah.
Exactly. In football, it takes a whole team. It takes linemen. It takes the running backs. It takes receivers. It takes everyone to really coordinate. You need an orchestrated effort. Basketball, you have plays. You have certain things you need to do. You need to count on other people to be in these other areas. And baseball is a game of it's pitcher versus hitter. and it's me versus you, and hitting is all about timing, and pitching is all about disrupting timing. And the beauty in that battery, in that moment of pitcher versus hitter, it's just that one-on-one battle. Yet it takes an entire team of people to actually win the game. Just
Yes, well, and it's the only sport that is an individual battle, like you said. You pretty much said it perfectly. It's an individual battle around a team sport. Is you need the whole team, but at the same time, it's more one-on-one than anything else. I mean, it's you against somebody else, or it's you in the field against the ball. I mean, there's always a individual battle at every aspect. At the end of the day, it's because your team did well. You guys did something as a team to win, yet you had to win your individual battles. It's battle versus war, I guess. You have to win your battles, but your team wins the war.
So I officiate sports for high school, and I do baseball and football.
And which should tell you all the reason you need to know why he's drinking all the bourbon is because he referees high school sports.
Correct. And it's one of the beautiful things is you can do a JV baseball game with one official because all you need is the ball. And you can't do anything without the ball in baseball, which is just one of those individual things that the ball gets hit to center field. Nothing's happening with the other rest of the teams. The only thing that matters is that center fielder who's going to then throw it to the second baseman, who's then going to try and tag the guy running to second base. In football, you have 22 guys doing 22 different things, and they're grabbing and holding, and you can have a hold on the guy way away from the play. But in baseball, you have the strictly individual matchups, which is really, really great.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I had that on my list. So obviously I think it was good if it was on my list. And that's not the one I thought you were going to pick, though, Nick. I thought you were actually going to go with a little bit different one, yeah.
What'd you think I was going to go with?
I thought you were going to go with playing it. Everybody's played baseball. So, I mean, at some point or another, and you talk to most, I would probably say 80% of males in America, if you talk to them at one point or another, they've played baseball. So you kind of at some level or another, you kind of have that kinship with somebody because they've played at some level or another, and that's awesome. Like that's like a brotherhood. That's just a cool thing. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe everybody hasn't played. I don't know, but I kind of feel that way anyway.
No, I agree. Is that I don't know anyone that can say has never played baseball. Like, there's nobody in my life that I know that I don't know from playing baseball or has played baseball or has some affection for baseball.
Yeah. Even if they're not baseball fans at this point or they don't watch baseball, like at one point or another, they've played it. And some of us in this podcast are still playing baseball. Not slow pitch softball for us, older women, but actual hardball with a wooden bat baseball. That would not be me, by the way.
Nor my 6 appearances.
Yeah, right. Or me, who gets hurt at a co-ed basketball tournament, half-court basketball tournament.
Guilty. I guess that would be me.
So I'm going to grade the draft now, and I'm going to win by my random picking in the first round of stealing third base. I gotta say, best pick of the draft, steal of the draft. Everyone else had it on their list.
No pun intended. Steal of the draft, huh?
Yeah, I know what I'm doing here. 3 bourbons in. See, I know what I'm doing. I like how I just went from 2 to 3. It's pretty good.
Well, again, like you said, the actual amount is in the ether somewhere.
It's been 34 minutes. You're ready for your third.
Amen, brother.
All right. So now we have to get into a few other random things that I've decided we're going to talk about that I haven't prepared you guys for, which is always a fun way of doing
This is why you're the host, is because you're amazing.
We are 34 minutes in, and if you are at this point and you don't want to listen to this,
Too bad. You got a guy here. You might as well go out to the end.
Wait, before we move on, can we do some free agents that maybe didn't get drafted that maybe we just want to talk about that might get picked up?
Absolutely.
Off the free agent list?
Go for it.
Awesome. The one that I was so close to actually getting so close to Seavers stealing third is the triple.
Oh, sure. The most exciting play in baseball.
Yes, the most rare hit that you can get out there is a triple.
How the heck did Evan Gaddis have like 9 of them a couple years ago? Like, that dude's as fast as I am. Just saying. Yes, I like the triple. That's a great one. I do like
Yes.
I do definitely like that. Or another one is a good one is the shallow fly ball to left field and the runner tagging at third. Like that's a fun play because what the
Oh,
heck?
yes.
It's not as fun now whenever you can't run over a catcher. But that was at one point like he's like, is the Duke going to run him over? Is he going to try to slide by him? Is he even going to be that close? Or that's a good one. That triples that got me like my brain just going now. That was probably not the best idea.
Thanks, Buster Posey.
I had a Mountain Dew earlier, by the way. It's my first soda I've had in a long, long time. So I was getting prepared.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
Yep. One of us is on bourbon. One of us is on Mountain Dew.
So the other one that I had on my list that once I drafted the steal of third base, I realized I'm not going to do it, was an actual home run. Seeing someone hit a home run, it still amazes me. Like, just the sight of a ball flying that far, that hard, it's an amazing feat. And as we all know, chicks dig the long ball.
Amen, brother. Amen. That's why I don't got any chicks because I do not hit them. The only one I have left on my list is it's the same game. When you watch highlights from, I don't know, Satchel Paige, like, maybe his delivery is a little bit different, but he's throwing from a mound that's 60 feet, 6 inches to the plate, and a guy's hitting it with a wooden bat. You could say the game's kind of the same in other sports, but, if you watch too far away, there's no three-point line in basketball. There was at one point there was no slam dunking in basketball, and in football, they had freaking leather helmets. So it's just like the game. Other games have evolved, I guess, if you want to call it that. But baseball is just the same. Sure, the guys get bigger and stronger, but it's the same. I mean, it's besides the quality of the video, it's the same game from the 50s to the 60s to now. I mean, there's different eras involved in there, but nonetheless, it's the same thing.
And less porn stashes now.
Well, I didn't say it's better now.
Jack Murphy, just going to say it.
that
Look
is
it
better.
up if you guys don't know the player. Jack Murphy from Oklahoma City Dodgers.
The official player of our podcast is Jack Murphy.
So he will be on. I will link to a picture of this picture that we have of Jack Murphy. The greatest picture in the history of the world was his picture last year at spring training. There was absolutely nothing better than that picture on the scoreboard.
Yeah, we quickly fell in love with Mr. Murphy, a.k.a. Ron Jeremy.
So I had a couple others on my list, but I know we want to get this thing moving along. But another one that I really wanted to bring up was the minor league system. Just the rich beauty of AAA, AA, single A, travel ball, all that sort of just the different levels that are involved in the game. I mean, the only other thing kind of like it would be like soccer has kind of multiple levels that they kind of play on, but just the amount of the game that's out there. There's so many AAA games, so many AA games, so many just, and the whole strategy of using that system to develop players and bring players up, rehab them from injuries.
That's a good one. Minor league system is actually because, you have other leagues where, like the NFL says that they use college football as their minor league system, but they don't really have a developmental league. And the basketball's trying that, but it's nowhere within, that same, Major League Baseball minor league system, which that's kind of a lot of words, but it's so refined and perfect, honestly. Like, I mean, it's just crazy also to think that, these great players make it to. I have a buddy that was a high A player, and he's one of the best players I've ever played with. He was really good, but he made it to high A. He was still 3 levels away from being anything. And, to think, man, this guy was really good. How good are these guys when they get to the major leagues? And it's just, I mean, you're watching minor league games are probably the most fun thing to watch because the entertainment is always spectacular. But then, you think these guys are really good at baseball, and then you go up to the majors and it's just even better. I mean, I guess it's a little bit of a tangent off what you're saying, but it's an awesome thing to do. Like the whole, I don't know, like you have a hierarchy, and that hierarchy is pretty cool everywhere, every step of the way.
Well, that's kind of to go back to Nick's. I don't know if it was his first or second pick. Was the game itself when you walk into a stadium? It's like you see the ability of these guys and how fast they are, and you lose a lot of that on TV in when we go to spring training, for example, we sat in that Reds game, and we were super close. One of the closest I've ever been to a game. And seeing how fast a guy that I've never heard of, who's a AAA player, running down first base line trying to beat out a hit to shortstop, it was absolutely amazing how fast they are. And, everything about them is just, it's so much bigger than it seems when you aren't, when you're watching on TV, it's one thing. When you see them up close in person, it's a completely other thing.
I'm just so impressed that during that Reds game, you were able to pay attention to anything other than Joey Votto's pants.
Well, he was in the dugout. I mean, the Reds were up to bat, and it was Billy Hamilton.
Gotcha.
Probably.
Nope. Okay. Yep. Right. Which is pretty impressive.
He was out playing in that game, so let's be honest.
Gotcha.
It was some other random guy that I've never heard of.
And on that note, the last one that I have is the characters. Baseball has such cool players and personalities in the game that is just great. Randy Johnson. You got Raleigh Fingers, Goose
He killed a freaking bird.
I know. You have the craziest stuff that happens in this game with the craziest characters saying the craziest things. 90% of the game is half mental. You got, I think it was John Kruk that actually stopped a woman in an interview that was saying something about, him being an athlete. And he said, "Listen, lady, I'm not an athlete. I'm a baseball player." And it's just
John
those
Kruk
great
say
quotes.
Yes, that's a good one. That's another good one. They definitely have. And I mean, you can kind of see there, especially in person, if you ever, spring training, we can almost make our all douchebag team from spring training alone, just getting to see their mannerisms whenever they're walking into the dugout, walking out of the dugout, the way that they interact with their teammates. But it's really fun seeing them in person, seeing the kind of personality they have. In the there's downtime. So, when they're dugout, whatever, they have a lot of personality. And the nice thing about spring training is you get to get close enough that you kind of see what they're doing in the dugout from time to time. So that's really cool.
Well, especially because they only play 4 innings and then they leave. And the best part is when you have a real player who's playing, but he gets sent out to some game he doesn't want to be in, and he's the only major leaguer we had. I think it was Carlos Gonzalez was playing in a game.
That's exactly what it was. Okay, he was definitely one of the guys on my list.
He was out in the game, and they pulled him in the 4th inning, and everybody else was sitting in the dugout because it's the 4th inning. You don't leave in the 4th inning. But Carlos Gonzalez, between the 4th and the 5th inning, there he goes. Oh, no, he's not hustling off the field. He's walking off the field. Oh, he's not walking. Yep. He's go out for a nice little stroll through right center field. Oh, we're going to wait for this game because Carlos Gonzalez, he said he's not going to hustle off the field. We're going to wait this game.
That's one of the guys I was talking about, and Mr. Nick Sievers did try to sell his house for him, but it just didn't work out.
He's still in the Rockies. Good thing you didn't listen to me.
Right. Well, I mean, if he listened to you, maybe he wouldn't be on the Rockies anymore, so I guess it could have been a win-win either way.
I like that Nick had 7 picks in this draft.
I did. That you know what? That was fair. That was that. If anybody was going to have 7 picks, it was going to be Nick.
I love baseball.
Well played.
And I guess I just love it a little more than you guys.
Wow.
So that's okay.
Wow.
I guess so. That's why we can never get on the same page about doing a podcast, is because me and Sievers are never available.
Yeah. Ooh, wow. And now we're getting
shots at the
we're getting deep into the woods of the Baseball IW's podcast.
Raise your hand if you have a 6-month-old.
No.
You don't know that I have my 6-month-old what?
Baby.
There's a chance I have a 6-month-old sandwich in my refrigerator. I hope not, but there's a chance.
Way to brag about having sex 15 months ago, Nick. Same.
I know. That's kind of what it was, huh?
Kind of was. Kind of how I'm feeling.
With a girl.
With a girl. Yes, and if you haven't seen that movie, it wasn't great, but that part was really good.
All right.
The movie is Road Trip.
Good, because I completely skipped my mind.
All right. Well, we are done with our draft, and now we're just going to talk aimlessly, and we're not going to make the rest of you listen to us. So this was Baseball by Dummies, and
hey, wait! I thought you said you had some stuff for us.
Yeah, we're going to do that one the next one.
Okay, fair.
Thank you very much for listening. That was Baseball by Dummies. You can follow the show on Twitter at BaseballPod, BaseballPod. Twitter doesn't allow anything longer, so that's what we get. You can also follow the show at Facebook, facebook.com/baseballbydummies, or our website, baseballpodcast.xyz. The guy who owns baseballpodcast.com wants $15,000. So if you guys want to crowdfund that, we will probably not buy it if you give us $15,000. I have to be honest, because if you give us 15 grand, maybe we'll buy baseballpod.net instead. He only wants 10 for that one. So thank you very much for listening, and we will see you guys soon. Thanks.